All right, so that's the sound of Tom C with the song Coup de Marteau. Yeah, typical Ivorian song, heavy, heavy, heavy jam song. I'm sure it's playing everywhere in the pubs, the bars, the terraces, the marquees, wherever it is in Abidjan, San Pedro, Korogo, Yopougon, Yamoussoukro, wherever it is. This is the song that is hot. Let's get to Cote d'Ivoire and let me find out if my guest on the Zoom is a fan of the coup de marteau. John Boafo is joining us once again. John, how are you doing? Bonjour, and how is Abidjan?
Bonjour, bonjour à toi. Bonjour to everyone in Ghana. Yeah, everything is good in Côte d'Ivoire. We're really excited about the matchup that they have today against Nigeria.
Okay.
With regards to the song is playing everywhere in all
I,
the marquees,
I
in
see.
all the clubs, and
Wow.
even at the stadium. So even at the opening game, we had that game and people were there dancing,
Wonderful.
playing, excited about it.
When I mean, just a final bit on the song. When was it released? When did Coup de Marteau come out? Was it just before the competition?
It came out just before the competition, or at least that's when I started hearing it everywhere. And it's
Okay.
really been present. People on TikTok have been using it like crazy for all the videos that they're doing. So everyone's really props to Tamsir for
Yeah.
such a great song.
I
It's a
see.
banger.
It's a wonderful song. It's a lovely song. I like it. Let's talk about the game. So after the high of beating Guinea-Bissau, now there's a big test for Les Elephants. They have to take on the mighty Nigeria. Before we get into what could potentially happen, I mean, you've been going through some of the newspapers. I'm sure you've read the quotes. You've seen some of the images. What have the players and the Ivorian coaches been saying about this particular encounter?
I think they're very conscious about the ramifications of winning or losing or even drawing the game. So they're prepared to the best that they can to ensure that they'll be able to perform and do their best to be able to make it out of the group. If they win, they're basically guaranteed to get out of the group, especially with the rules of four of the third best teams in the groups also being picked out to come out of the group. So they want to be able to perform, and the government has also helped them. So today is a little bit of a holiday in Côte d'Ivoire. Schools are out, so none of the children have gone to school. And then most of the companies are doing what they call journée continue. So journée continue is you start early, you work a bit, maybe about an hour earlier than normal, and then you work through lunchtime. And after lunch, so around 2 or 1, depending on the company, you can go home. So a lot of people are expected to be in the marquees to support the team. A lot of people are also expected to go to Ebimpe Stadium to also support the team. So the government and everyone is really doing their parts to ensure that Les Elephants perform well and beat Nigeria later on today.
I see. I mean, you talked about the ramifications, and I understand because it is the biggest game they will play in the group, and it is against Nigeria. On the side of the fans, what have they been saying? How are they thinking about this game? You know, like the team, are they also conscious of the fact that this is Nigeria and they could potentially cause a problem this evening?
Yeah, everyone in the country is really conscious in terms of the fans. They're very conscious of the kind of team that we're going up against. If we look at the attacking force that Nigeria has, if you think of the likes of Victor Osimhen or even Chukwueze, everyone knows that Nigeria has the potential of scoring lots of goals. So we need to ensure that the team is compact, doesn't concede goals, but also be confident in the team that they have. The Ivory Coast team will probably see the return of Sebastien Haller and also Semen in Adringer. So they have their own attacking force to be able to counter or even dominate the play and score some goals. So everyone here is really confident that they should be able to pull off a win later on today at 5 p.m. And let's see how it goes.
I see. Between day one or the last time the Ivorians played and today, which player has stood out in terms of like the fan favorite? Is there any player the fans have gravitated towards as you know as their favorite, or who's like the star player in the Ivorian team in the eyes of the fans?
Well, Sekou Fofana scored the first goal to open off this AFCON 2023. And since then, in the Maki or even the streets, a lot of people have been talking about Sekou Fofana. Each and every fan has their own favorite player, from Simon Adegara to Haller to even some of the other players. But it seems like because Sekou Fofana scored that first goal and then also hit that ball smoothly and then it hit the crossbar, people have been really talking about him quite a bit. So I think the battle in the midfield will be something that's key, and Sekou Fofana will also have his play to, his say to ensure that Les Éléphants come out with a win today.
All right. You mentioned Sebastian Haller and Simon Adingra. We saw Crasso score that wonderful goal in the other game. Do you think Haller gets straight into the team, or he'll start off from the bench and then he gets introduced later?
I think it's more likely that he will get introduced later. The coach, Jean-Louis Gasset, will not want to upset the apple cart. They played well, mainly in the second half. They played well, and they were able to get the win in the first match. So why not start with the same team and maybe make some tweaks? I think that probably Serge Aurier will most likely start in the match today at 5 p.m. But other than that, that's the only change that I foresee from the starting lineup against Nigeria today.
All right, finally, John, give us a prediction. I mean, Côte d'Ivoire is your adopted country now. Can you give us a prediction? How do you think this game will play out? And will you be at the stadium to watch, though?
So yeah, Côte d'Ivoire is my adopted country, but I'm at heart, I'm a Ghanaian. So I've decided to go to the Ghana versus Nigeria. Ghana
Egypt
versus Egypt game at 8 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
I believe that Les Éléphants will come out with a win today. Let's say 2-1. A goal from Crasso, a goal from Sebastian Haller, and then maybe Osimhen will score a goal.
I see, Octopus John. I didn't know you were dabbling in precise predictions, but John, thank you so much, and we'll talk later. Have a good day, and a plus.
For having me.
Okay. All right, so that was John Boafo. He's in Abidjan and keeping an eye on the AFCON. Let's have a look at that game involving Côte d'Ivoire. This was the last time they played. This was the opening day of the AFCON. It was last Saturday night at the Stade Félix Houphouët-Boigny, or it was at the Bimpe or in Abidjan. But let's see how that game broke down. For those who haven't seen the highlights, this is Côte d'Ivoire's first game of the competition. They took on Guinea-Bissau and won that game by 2-0. All right, so we've seen how the Ivorians looked like in their last game. We've seen how the Nigerians looked like in their last game as well. Guys, it's the biggest, I can say the biggest game of the competition so far, if you like.
Yeah. Especially based on what happened in the first
round. We've not had...
You can't put Ghana and Egypt on the same level as Nigeria.
This is Nigeria, and it's absolutely crazy. So now we listened to John. He was talking about the Ivorian team being very conscious, being very aware of the potential problems Nigeria can cause. Now, what are some of those problems Nigeria can cause Côte d'Ivoire? Having at the back of our minds what we saw from the Ivorians when they played Guinea-Bissau last weekend.
The only problem that Nigeria seem to have that they can actually cause other people is their attack. It's only the attack that's really sharp about the Nigerians. Aside that, the team is very, very imbalanced. And for me, we see it to be a big game, but I don't see it to be a big game as such.
Okay.
I don't see it to be a big game. I feel the Ivorians are going to have a field day. If they are able to handle their midfield correctly, they would have an excellent day, trust me on that one. Because the Nigerians are even sweating for fitness of some of their midfielders they took to the tournament who played. Alassane is still out, and we maybe might see him and might not see him because he's still not fit. And that gives a gaping hole in the middle. They already don't have enough numbers in the middle. They only have a little bit of numbers at the back. And they have a bunch of attackers. A new attacker has even joined camp, the OJC striker. In as much as he provides a different narrative to their attack, it's still the midfield for Nigeria. And that's why I feel Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire is going to win the game. their midfield is going to be so compact from Cote d'Ivoire, and they are going to really boss it and lay intricate passes to help them finish off. And they've got the men to also finish off for them. So for me, it's the problem that's going to be provided by Nigeria is going to be thwarted by Cote d'Ivoire.
Interesting. Yeah, the Ivorians themselves do have quality.
Yeah.
We've seen the quality run through the Sergio Rey at the back. Seko Fofana looks good in midfield. He has Frank Kessie for company. It's up top that you get the sense a decision has to be made.
Yeah.
I was asking John, and he believed that Ale would start off the bench. Do you think it would be fair for Ale to come into the game later? You start with Jean-Philippe Crasso.
Yeah, I think you start with Crasso, and you have Halle come off the bench because I think Crasso, he struggled a little bit in front of goal. Yeah, he wasted a couple of chances. But all in all, I don't think they are in a desperate situation to just lump Halle into the starting lineup. Like Citi said, this game, I don't see it as a big game. A big game is when you have two teams that have brilliant quality, are almost at the same level, and have the perfect matchups. But I look at Nigeria, I look at Cote d'Ivoire. The main reason why it's a big game is because of the names on the teams and the fact that there's a lot of history. So both nations have won the AFCON on multiple occasions. And so all that adds up to it being a big game. But on the paper, at least on paper, Cote d'Ivoire, sure, odds-on favorite to win this. Because at the end of the day, you look at the team from the defense to the finish line or to the attack, you see balance everywhere. So in defense, you have Wilfred Singo, one of the players I'm looking out for in this tournament. He plays for AS Monaco, brilliant defender. You have Ivan Ndeka, who plays for AS Roma. You have in midfield. That midfield is where the strength lies for Cote d'Ivoire, because in their first game, on the right side, they had Frank Kessie. On the left side, they had Seko Fofana. Then in the middle, they had Ibrahim Sangari.
Yeah.
Then you move on to the front line. Now, that's where I honestly believe the central striker, Crasso, should be maintained. But there's a possibility that if there's going to be a player coming back from injury and getting inserted into the starting lineup, between Ale and Adingra, I'll go for Adingra.
Adingra, okay.
Yeah, I'll go for Adingra. I think
into
Ale,
midfield.
No, to add to the wing.
White, okay,
to White.
Yes.
But Ale, I think he should start off the bench. But you look at on the other side for Nigeria, the imbalance is so clear to show. In their game against Equatorial Guinea, 4-1-4-1, that's the formation they play with Frank Onyeka as the defensive midfielder. Then you had Alex Iwobi and Alhassan Yusuf also dropping deep sometimes to support him and morph into a 4-3-3 formation. But it's imbalanced because Onyeka is not your out-and-out DM. He is more like a Frank Kessie who shuffles between defense and attack. But because of the absence of Wilfred Ndidi, so they have to play him there because they don't have enough options in that position. And once you top it up with Alhassan Yusuf, who wasn't the plan A, he was a plan B, and the fact that this is his first AFCON, he's quite young, and on top of that, they are sweating over his fitness. I don't think Cote d'Ivoire should struggle that much getting past Nigeria, knowing very well that the Nigerian wingers also aren't too defensively disciplined. You look at Chukwuemeka, you look at I think Moses Simon is okay on the defensive side, but you look at Ademola Lookman. Their defensive discipline is not on point. So that adds up to the imbalance in the system, and I don't think Ivory Coast should overly sweat getting past Nigeria. I'm looking forward to a Cote d'Ivoire win.
Okay, all right. Let's go through some of your messages that have come through on the WhatsApp number 020-444-7033, 020-444-7033. Larry Nungwa says, Coach Chris showed a bit of bravery with his lineup and just started about 2 or 3 selection choices going wrong. He needs to continue to show bravery, but the structure must be right. The Egyptians are good on transitions, hence I think 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 should help us contain their transitions. This one says, the groundswell chiseling and near total thumbs down of Black Stars by Ghanaians is most shocking. As a fellow Black African and neighbor, I'm rooting for Ghana to get a draw or pull a win. For Nigeria, the Super Eagles will not lose against Cote d'Ivoire. Repeat of AFCON 2013 when Nigeria dumped out a classy Drogba-led Ivorian team in the quarterfinals. Samuel from Abuja in Nigeria. Thank you so much. This one says, remember to eat before the Ghana game because with Black Stars, no blood tonic can help you restore your appetite. Loader from, from Michelle Camp sent that particular message. All right. Let's switch attentions. Let's talk a bit, or let's talk more about the Black Stars. Let's see how the 4 teams in this group fared the last time they played, or the 2 teams who will play tonight, Ghana and Egypt. They all played over the weekend. So let's see what the Egyptians did, and then we'll see what the Ghanaians did, and then we focus on the game that will be happening between these 2 sides later today at 8 p.m.